Welcome to the Keeldra Observatory podcast. Moving through the year, and 2024 is starting to, the end is nigh, as they say in the term of the calendar year. Of course. Well, I mean,
everybody's panicking about that at the minute.
Well, this is it. Well, we did read before we started a story about an asteroid that was heading our way, but we think that might be an erroneous news article. So we've stood down the panic on that one for the time being, but we will revisit that in a future year or two. Welcome to the Keeldra Observatory podcast. Heading into November, December is in sight, and we've had some pretty clear nights around, and we'll talk about what you can see in the current time and over the coming weeks in a moment, and also one or two news stories that you might see about space and what it means and things that we can look forward to perhaps as we move into 2025. I'm Ian Brannan. Along with me is Director of Astronomy at Keeldra Observatory, Dan Pye. And Dan, it's been pretty decent-ish weather lately, last few days at the time of recording this, and we're recording it on the 13th of November for clarity so that people know where we are. Some good clear nights. Yes, the moon has been out, but also, I've had the old thing on my phone pinging about the aurora, which is still rumbling on, but we've had some great sightings of that over the last month or two.
Yeah, we have. Actually, interestingly, the last 3 nights has been really nice and clear, but prior to that, we had 2 weeks of just complete cloudy skies across the whole of the United Kingdom. In fact, there was many parts of this country hadn't even seen the sun for 2 weeks, so it's nice to see the sky again. It was a lovely night last night, actually. It was just very, very cold. It was starting to feel a bit icy, and the icy weather is definitely coming back in. But that being said, icy weather is kind of good for astronomy. We get some of the best, most crisp skies when it's nice and icy. So yeah, we've had a nice couple of nights. Nice time to play with our new toys as well. We've been trialing these smart telescopes of late. Something which has been on the scene for the last few years, and I was a little bit skeptical of the gimmickry of this kind of stuff at first, because, I mean, every year it comes to this time of year and you walk into Costco and there's a telescope on display and it's like, tracks everything, gives you pictures of the Orion Nebula like this, and it's like, it's a load of rubbish, they don't do that. They're rubbish. Don't be pulled into the gimmicks if you're buying a telescope is what I'm trying to get at here, particularly the ones on tripods. But these ones are really tiny, like really compact, like the size of a small coffee machine, not much bigger than a kettle, really, I guess, in some cases. And one of them, actually, is even smaller than that. There's one called the Dwarf 3, and there's another one called the Sea Star S50, which I've been playing with. And I'm really pleased to report that both of them are absolutely fantastic, like amazing pieces of kit. I'm blown away by them. You can use them during the daytime as well. I say this, I'm not 100% sure with the Sea Star how good that is during the day, because I haven't used that one during the day. But the Dwarf, I used that during the day. It was great for taking pictures of birds, taking pictures of the sun, taking pictures of aeroplanes. and then at nighttime, it's just amazing, because it looks like it's like a thick A4 book.
Well, I'm looking at it. It looks more like a toaster.
Yeah.
Like with a camera on the side.
A slimline toaster with a camera on and a rotating bit on top. And you just plonk it down on the ground on a little tripod, point it at the sky, and you say, I want to look at this. And then it takes some images so it knows where it is. That takes about 30 seconds. And then it goes to the thing that you want to look at, and it starts taking photographs of it. And you're watching this on your app, on your phone. And you get the first image through and you think, oh, that's good. But then what it does is it does a processing technique called stacking, where it puts photo on top of photo on top of photo on top of photo. So it's like taking a massively long exposure. And it also gets rid of all of the noise on the sensor by removing what are called dark frames, which is where all the information from the sensor with the lens cap on is extracted away from your final image. So when you're looking at it on your phone, what you get is this incredible image of whatever it is that you're looking at. And the dwarf was dead easy to do, like literally a quick put down, away you go. But the sea star was just unbelievable. It blew my mind, the quality that we got from that. I looked at a structure called the Pac-Man Nebula, which isn't a one that I've seen through a telescope. And seeing it on your phone coming through and the quality of it that you get from it. And these pieces of kit, by the way, they're like £400-500. They're super cheap, very affordable compared to other telescopes, particularly for taking images. I mean, taking images like this with a telescope 5 years ago even would have cost you, your basic level entry telescope to get anything of this kind of quality would have been £1,500 to £2,000 without even considering the camera that you use. So the quality is astonishing for the price. And I'm amazed by it. I just find them great. I think that they're so accessible, and it opens up a whole new market of people being able to do this in their back gardens and see some incredible stuff easily with very limited knowledge. Yeah, it kind of feels in some respect like cheating almost. But if you just want to experience the beauty of the universe, and you want some stuff to stick on social media and go, look at this, I got this from my back garden. They're designed for use in light polluted areas as well. I just think they're amazing. So get it on the Christmas list. We've also partnered with First Light Optics as well recently. This isn't the plug. This isn't a sponsorship thing here, by the way. This is genuinely my genuine feelings on it. But we have also partnered with First Light Optics, so you have a look on their website and you can order from them.
It's a good idea, definitely. If you're looking for something for your Christmas list, and obviously it's not a cheap present, we appreciate that. But at the same time, also affordable as well. If it's something you're going to treat yourself, £369 for the C Star S30, or the S50's £539.
The S50's
online at the
amazing.
moment.
It's really, really good.
Is that the one, the S50?
Yeah.
It looks pretty sweet.
Absolutely.
And the Dwarf 3, you can actually get for about £400, maybe a bit more, depending on where you are. So, look out for those if you're looking for some ideas. Smart telescopes.
Two of the
future.
staff have actually bought them since we've had this demo one in as well. So that's how convinced we are that these things are amazing. The two members of staff have bought them. And to be honest, the only thing stopping me from buying it is the fact that I've got one at the observatory that I can use. But
well, I was going to say you're kind of blessed with telescopes and imaging equipment, I guess.
Yeah.
So there's something that's come from it already. Look, a little Christmas Christmas idea, very timely. Although I think they are in stock in some places, but some stores are saying there's quite a long lead time. So obviously very popular. So that could be the next big thing: smart telescopes. What else has been going on then? This time of year, well, we're seeing lots of stories about meteor showers, asteroids to watch out for. What's going on in the night sky at this time of year?
So at the moment, right now, actually, we're just coming out of the back end of the Taurus meteor shower. There was a lot of news about this year for some bizarre reason. The press pick up some really strange things sometimes that I'm always surprised about. I think they just hear the word meteor shower, and if they haven't got anything else to write about, they'll stick it in there. So the Taurids is not a very active meteor shower. It's not a one that's particularly on my radar. It is quite an interesting storied one, though, because it's a one which is caused by a comet which broke up. So yeah, nice story. But then this weekend is the Leonids meteor shower, leading into.
And this is quite a big one
next week. It is a pretty good one. This one, good one just generally. It's a shame that the moon is in the way, but still produces some good bright meteors, quite active. And every 33 years or so, we get a meteor storm from this shower. Hasn't really amounted to anything in recent years. The most notable in history was there was a really big one in 1833 where there was allegedly hundreds of thousands of meteors falling from the sky. And there was another one in history as well. I think it was 790 AD or something when it was first really talked about this particular meteor shower because of the sheer ferocity of the shower that there was on that date as well. And it seems to be every 33 years we get this little storm of meteors. But yeah, it hasn't really amounted to a storm in recent years. So maybe this is the year. Who knows?
Okay, one to look out for then, the Leonids meteor shower, and that is going to be over the course of the coming weekend. So, around the
17th,
16th, 17th, 18th,
yeah,
around then, yeah. So that's something to look out for, and then heading into the new year, I suppose, before we know it, and it all starts again.
All starts again. Geminids meteor shower next month as well, which is a good one. Quite blessed with meteor showers at this time of year, actually. The Geminids is one of my favourite ones. This one comes from an asteroid called Phaethon, or Phaeton. I'm never really sure how to say this. But typically, these meteor showers, they're caused by comets. This one is not a comet. It's an asteroid. And there's a whole story about that as well, but I think we'll leave that for another occasion. We'll leave that as a surprise for another occasion, that one. Yeah.
Okay, but if you want to look it up, then by all means you can race ahead.
Google it.
On that one. We should say as well that coming up on the podcast, because this one it's just me and you chatting, so there's no sort of major celebrity guest, but we have got guests coming up on subsequent podcasts, and we should spotlight those because we do actually have a genuine astronaut joining us on the podcast very soon indeed, which is going to be really exciting.
Real life astronaut. Spent some time in space, a lot of time in space actually, on the space station as well, and been on the space shuttle, which must have been just incredible. I can't even...
Old school, that, isn't it? Proper astronaut.
I can't even begin to think what it must have been like to fly on the space shuttle. It must have just been incredible.
Yeah. It must be. I mean, going to space on any vehicle is probably going to be pretty incredible. But yeah, the space shuttle, it's just something there's something about it, wasn't there? In it was different from a standard rocket. It looked a bit more like an aeroplane and all that sort of multi-stage sort of stuff, which I know happens with many rockets, but the fact that it, everything fell away and it just propelled itself like an aeroplane into space was just something I think a lot of us grew up with as well. I think there's probably that bit of nostalgia about it too.
Super sci-fi. And I've got the Lego model of that as well, so... Always imagine being inside it.
Quite a Lego build. So we've got an astronaut, and what else have we got as well? Because we're talking. We've also got a few guests lined up in the coming episodes.
Yeah, we have. We're talking to Dr. Luke Daly. Luke Daly has been looking at lots of. Well, he's a planetary scientist, looking at lots of meteorites, and there's some incredible stuff that is happening in the meteorite world right now, and the space rock world as well, as we've mentioned in previous episodes about things like the water formations on the surface of asteroids, which is something that he's working on at the University of Glasgow. We've also got the stuff that's come out of looking at carbonaceous chondrites, which links to the potential building blocks for life. Still looking for proteins, as Wallace Arthur told us about last time. But not quite there. There is a glimmer of some almost protein, but not completely there. So who knows? I think the next few years in space rocks is going to be equally as interesting as the deep universe. And to be honest, actually, I think arguably our solar system right now is more interesting than the deep universe. Because the thing is, when we're looking into the depths of the universe, it's physics that drives our understanding of everything out there. And physics still doesn't know what physics is. Not that I'm trying to diss physics here. And having never studied hardcore physics, this is probably not my place to be saying this. But there's, of course, physics which can't coexist, that we don't understand. Do we really get gravity? Is so many questions around physics. Whereas looking at the chemistry of our universe is becoming a really, really, really hot topic and a really interesting topic. And of course, that's driving the hunt for extraterrestrial life as well. in the next 10 years, some incredible missions in our solar system looking for the existence of life. So astrochemistry, I think, is where all the sexy stuff is moving forward.
Well, that brings us very nicely onto a bit of space news that we may wish to discuss, because scientists have discovered that Uranus and its moons might not be the lifeless worlds that they previously thought they were. Some new research has revealed that when a probe, the Voyager 2, went by there in 1986, so it's a long time since this happened, but then again, Uranus is a fairly long way away. It actually coincided with an extreme space weather event, and they think that this extreme space weather event sort of maybe threw a few anomalies into the research, maybe confused the sensors or the data that they've got, and has given them an incorrect picture of what the Uranian system is generally like. So we didn't realise that it was all kicking off, and there was basically, I don't know, some kind of solar flare that went out, and this all confused the readings that they got. And actually, they think that some of the moons around Uranus may well have subterranean oceans within them. And as a result of that could create the obvious conditions required for life in terms of fish. And they think that some of the moons of Uranus could be teeming with fish, deep space fish. And so I mean, they are actually doing another bit of research on Uranus. Another probe is heading out there, but it's not going to reach its destination until for another 20 years or so. So it's a fair way off, but eventually we will get some more info on it.
It takes so long to get to these places, so we're always using old technology when we get there. And having to wait for such a period of time is just is crazy that it takes so long to get to these worlds. But I for some reason just when you were talking there, I just got an image of what this fish-like life might look like on one of the Uranian moons, and all I could see in my mind was sea monkeys. You know, the picture on the front of a sea monkey's box where they've got like a little crown on and stuff. Maybe what happened was when Voyager went past, those little inhabitant sea monkeys of that world sent out some kind of electromagnetic pulse, and then that disrupted the instrumentation because they didn't want us to know the way that they were there. We're writing sci-fi right here. Right.
Well, this is it.
Yeah.
This is what Wallace Arthur was saying in our previous episode where we're talking about life in other worlds, and he's pretty sure that absolutely there is some form of intelligent life out there, and perhaps closer than we think. And if we say a couple of the problems that he mentioned are displayed here. In fact, number one, how far away it is. It's going to take 20 years to get there. It's not like we're just going to make contact with some outside world and start having a conversation. The sheer distance is perhaps our biggest issue. But yeah, we could well find that contrary to sci-fi and their representations of an alien invasion, that actually that if that spacecraft did open, the chances are that there might be something more marine-based emerge. In which case, the world's anglers for the first time will be the first emergency service.
That would be amazing. Imagine that. That's such an interesting thought. I love the thought about life around planets like this on moons, because this just changes the statistics radically. Because we talk so much about, and we still get a lot of questions about this at the Observatory, is life can only exist inside of the habitable zone, the Goldilocks zone, as it was famed. This chucks all of that out the window. I mean, we're talking about Uranus here, which is 2 billion miles away from the sun. So at that huge, vast distance is way outside of the habitable zone, the Goldilocks zone. But given these conditions that we think that life may require, they can be present within these moons around these really big planets. And I'm really hopeful that, and I'm really convinced, and even after speaking to Wallace last time as well, I'm even more convinced that in the next 10 years, we'll arrive at Europa and there'll be something which makes us go, it's there. That's it. We found it. Life is on Europa, in which case life is likely on Enceladus, in which case life is likely on these moons around Uranus as well. So I think we're really, 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 really close to finding the existence of life in its most basic forms. And this is something that somebody also asked me last night as well. What would we say is life? When we see it, what are we expecting, what we're looking for? And I think one of the easiest ways to kind of sum this up is to think about what all life does on this planet right now. It takes something and it outputs energy. So as long as it does that, I guess that's life, right?
Well, any form of living organism, even a single cell organism would qualify as life, wouldn't it? That's what Wallace Arthur said. Because at this moment we have found nothing ever from outside our world, nothing that purports to move, as you say, radiate any energy or anything like that. So we haven't even found an amoeba yet, let alone a colony of little green men. So we've got a fair way to go. But yeah, anything that they find, and I think Wallace mentioned as well. And if you go back and listen to the previous episode, you can hear it all from the man himself. But just to sort of give you an idea of what he was saying, that anything like photosynthetic life, even a leaf, that is life, isn't it? It's not intelligent life, but it's that would be more than we've ever found anywhere else.
Yeah, and it's funny you should say that it's not intelligent life, because I would almost argue that in some cases this kind of stuff is intelligent life. It's just not intelligent on the kind of level that we want it to be, because this thing can figure out what to do at different times of year to maximize its growth potential. In some ways, actually, I guess that's how life functions, isn't it? It just evolution drives that desire to want to survive and adapt to the conditions that it's presented with.
I suppose that would be a question back for Wallace, wouldn't it? For next time, is what's the difference between life and where does intelligent life start? But like you say, because plants do figure stuff out.
Yeah, they do. They just think about it in a different way. Or wouldn't.
Yeah, or they don't, and they're no longer life anymore. Simple as that. Yeah. What else have we got going on in space at the moment? NASA says it's completed building its twin spacecraft for its new space weather mission. The TRACERS mission is going to look at how activity from the sun, such as solar wind, interacts with the Earth's magnetic field. And this maybe will give us a bit more insight into the aurora, I guess, as well, which is something that many people have now seen in one form or another. It's been a pretty good time for it this last year or so. But this TRACERS mission, hoping to help scientists understand better how the sun influences our planet.
Interesting. Yeah, there's a lot we don't know about the aurora, a huge amount that we don't know about the aurora. And a huge amount that goes into making aurora happen in a very specific way on Earth. And sometimes it still surprises us. I remember a couple of years ago, we had one of these co-interacting regions which created aurora on Earth in a way that was quite unexpected at the time. So there's loads of different things that we're still unfamiliar with about our sun. And there's a lot of crossover between different studies as well when we look at aurora. We've got things like geophysics. We've got the solar dynamics, we've got the weather systems in the solar system, we've got particle physics, we've got all sorts of various different disciplines trying to understand what's going on when we get aurora activity. And Ishbel, this is one of her fields of studies, is to try and understand more about the aurora here on Earth as well. So it might be quite nice to get her on to talk about this in a little bit greater detail, see how her PhD's going and stuff as well. At the moment, where now, as NOAA and NASA have officially confirmed at solar maximum as well, so most solar activity is happening right now. Best times for aurora, generally actually leading from that point. So the next few years might be good for auroras. But the last solar maximum was not very fruitful. The best one in recent years was like 1992, 1993. And when you think back that far, we didn't all have very good. And in fact, the early noughties as well, there was some really big displays. Back at that point, then we didn't have really good mobile phones to take images of this stuff. We didn't have social media to talk about this stuff. Even taking pictures as a journalist would have been quite challenging potentially back then as well. We wouldn't have had as good images of aurora as we do from digital photography. So yeah, there is just a simple fact that we are seeing similar amounts that we've seen through history. It's just that we're recording it much better. We're talking about it much better as a planet as well.
I remember, going on an aurora night at Kielder, I think it was, in fact, a long, long time ago, before this podcast. And then, it was a case of, if you're going to catch the aurora, you're going to need an SLR camera, you're going to need a tripod, you're going to need a certain sort of SLR camera, you're going to need a certain sort of lens. And literally, the planets all had to align for you to be able to get this shot, because then you needed, after having got all that gear and got the right settings and everything else, you then needed the aurora to present itself at that opportune moment. So there were a few photos of it, but as you say, now you can just hold your phone up and you can see the aurora, even though you can't see it with your own eyes. Get a great image of it, and it's all in your pocket now. And that, like you say, that's the difference, isn't it?
And isn't that amazing that we have this technology to do this in our pockets now, when we're arguably lesser connected or lesser able to access the dark skies and the wonders of the universe than ever before because of light pollution. But we have the technology now to be able to enjoy it the best we've ever enjoyed it through history, or at least record it as best we've been able to through history. It's just a shame that we don't have dark skies, apart from here in Northumberland.
Yes. Indeed. Well, something that is a little easier to view is the moon. And just to talk about this, because this Artemis 3 moon landing mission, there's been an update there recently from NASA, who have given a bit of an indication on where they're planning to land. They've got a short list of a number of sites, and I think it's about 9 or 10 possible locations, but each of them are around the south pole of the moon.
Interesting.
And that's where they're planning on heading. When they do eventually go there, it'll be a mission with 4 astronauts involved, and 9 regions, in fact, that they've identified, each around the South Pole, some larger than others, but this will be a different part of the moon than was previously explored.
I'm really looking forward to this. At first I wasn't. I was kind of like, we're going back to the moon. Woo, how lovely. and then somebody said to me, yeah, but Dan, we've got way better cameras now. Imagine what it's going to look like landing on the moon in high definition. And then suddenly I had that thought of, oh yeah, that's going to look absolutely fantastic. It's going to look completely different to how we've ever seen it before, perhaps. Maybe we'll be able to clear up some deniers, perhaps, maybe.
This was a thought, right? And I was having this conversation with someone last week, right? What if they do land on the moon and it does look totally different? I mean, obviously it's going to be black and white, and it's going to look different with colour cameras and stuff, and they'll say that. But what if there are phenomena, or they've got similar spacesuits on, they leap around and they don't come down quite as quick, stuff like that. You play golf and the ball flies off. I don't know, these sort of physical anomalies that if there was any doubt about it, that you think straight away that's gone wrong.
You've been found out. That's it.
Yeah.
Now. That's an interesting thought. Yeah, perhaps. Who knows?
Even if anything's changed in that front, though, if the physical characteristics in some way have changed, like the gravity has altered slightly, because we don't really know, because so long since anybody's been there.
Moon. I was talking about the moon recently, and about its history, and interestingly, what I really love about the moon is it's probably the most consistent thing in human history. If you think about the stars, they're moving, as are the planets. So they're in different positions, and over tens of thousands of years, our perspective on the Milky Way changes, and so we end up with constellations looking misshapen. They're not the same as what they were 200,000 years ago, in many cases. Whereas the moon is exactly how it looked 200,000 years ago. Our ancestors would have looked at the very same moon that we look at today. So it's that shared commonality of looking up at the night sky and seeing this object exactly the same as early humans would have. And potentially even the dinosaurs would have seen exactly the same moon as well. Many of these craters, they haven't really changed much in the last few billion years in any case. So I think it's incredible just to have that moment of just thought when you look at the moon of like, oh my gosh, I'm looking at this now in the same way that somebody did 100,000 years ago.
And interesting what will happen, with Elon Musk now, it seems to be getting his feet under the table in the American government. So what that means for NASA, I'm not sure. But clearly he's on a mission to get there and beyond as well. So I don't know, that is going to be interesting to see how that all pans out in the coming years.
Yeah, it is going to be interesting. Space travel is an interesting concept, an interesting debate, often quite an argumentative debate. I've seen a lot recently about kind of characters who are wanting to go into space, looking to conquer it because we can't conquer other parts of our planet. So it's kind of looking at them as these evil ogre types of history. And in some ways, I get where people are coming from with that, but also there's just a curiosity, quite innocently, just curiosity is fine as well. It's like people can't just have that curiosity without there being some hidden malevolent intent somewhere in there. But some people are just curious, and some people genuinely do just want to go out there in order to be able to preserve our futures and to help things back on Earth as well. It's through space missions, so we've been able to have some of the biggest breakthroughs, and we've talked about this before in things like drug research, being able to grow protein crystals bigger on places like the space station in microgravity for helping cures for various different diseases, understanding the human body better, the development of pacemakers, the development of communications technologies, all sorts of health benefits that we've got from being able to research space travel and go beyond, go out there into the great unknown. I think there's a positive way of looking at this rather than just we want to go and colonize different planets kind of thing, yeah.
Because we can. And then set up a branch of, Tesla garage on the moon, which is probably going to be the thing. Who knows? Let's round up then by looking at what's coming up at Kielder Observatory throughout November. There's still a number of sessions that you can get involved in, a few events still with tickets available even this month in November. So we've got an aurora night on the 26th. There's still some space on that right now. Astrophotography on the 24th, and some kids events as well returning, heading in towards Christmas too. So you've got Space Kids Searching for Aliens, The Young Explorers. There's a few of those sessions in December as well. Astrology to Cosmology, if you want to get really deep and meaningful, that's available on the 3rd of December. And this looks interesting. Starcraft, Astronomy in Anglo-Saxon England. That's an earlier evening one, 7 o'clock that.
Whiskey tasting on this one with Ad Geffen as well.
Is that right? I was going to say that sounds like something a bit different.
That's right.
So there you go.
It's going to be a great one.
Check that out. 6th of December, StarCraft, Astronomy and Anglo-Saxons. If you like the both, then and whiskey, then that is the one for you. Or you can do both if you want. You can stay up even later because at 11 o'clock onwards, there's late night discovery that night as well. So it could be an all-nighter for you on that one. So get on to kiel.observatory.org. Click on book now. You can see all of the different sessions pretty much for the year ahead. There's loads to go at and plenty of events you can be involved in even between now and the end of 2024, or indeed get booking for the start of the events in 2025 as well. They're all there right now, kiel.observatory.org. And I think that rounds us up, and we'll be speaking to astronauts before you know it, Dan.
We will be, very excitingly as well. News just of this week. I'm very, very excited because for over a year, the Sir Patrick Moore Observatory has been closed down to the public due to some structural repairs and essential maintenance that needed to happen. Those repairs are now in their latter stages of completion, and within the next 2 weeks we hope to be able to access that building again and reopen it to the general public. It'll be a joyous occasion. In fact, there's members of staff that we have who've never been here when it's been in operation. So fingers crossed that'll be all ready before December time, and it'll be great to have that back online.
Excellent. And that's the observatory right at the far end, isn't it? So it's a good one.
It is.
To get back into. So look out for that. If you go in the next couple of weeks or after, then you might get the full experience. But thanks for bearing with us, and find out all the info you need about Kiel Observatory online, kiel.observatory.org, and don't forget to check out some of our previous episodes, not least the last one with Professor Wallace Arthur on his views and theories of life in other worlds, if that's a topic that interests you. And it interests pretty much everybody, I think, doesn't it? So get that one in the previous episode to this, and we're back with another episode very soon of the Kiel Observatory podcast.